Shalom, saints. Greetings all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. Specifically in Trinidad, we found an island that is very interesting, Petite, Martinique, and that is what we are going to look at. But before we do that, let's just bow our heads for prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we just invite you to be part of this interview and just provide the guidance, dear God, that the testimony of my brothers here, may it become very edifying to the believers. We want to commit this to you and bless it, dear God, as we commit it to you in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Now, I've got Brother George and I've got Brother B. Brother George is from Trinidad, Ephesians Tabernacle, and Brother B is from an interesting island called Petite, Martinique, that has a population of 900 based on the latest statistics. They only had 20 or one car 20 years ago, but now currently they only have 25 cars. It is an island that has got the diameter is 2.4 square kilometer. Most of the people there, they make their living by building boats, fishing, and seafaring. It only has 3 grocery stores, but I'm glad I was touched that despite how far it is, it's a very tiny island in the Caribbean, but despite that, we do have message believers there on that island. And I just want to bring Brother George in because he's the one that felt led to take the message to that tiny island and to have a church there, which is a message church. Brother George, when did you move to get to, is it Petite, Martinique?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you wanting to hear this testimony, Brother Madiba. I always meant to give this testimony, but you know, the Lord always have his time and his season for everything. I know it is a very, very remarkable testimony as it relates to Brother B, as he's affectionately known, but his name is Bethel.
Yes.
And as he rightfully said, that he belongs to the island of Petite. Petite happened to be one of the islands of the Grenada. On the north side, you will find St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But more on the south side, you would find Grenada and 2 other islands, which is Carriacou and Petite Martinique, of which Brother B, he lives in Petite Martinique. It all really started in 2001 when I was invited to go to Bethel, which is one of the Grenadine islands. When I went there into Bethel, there was one local church there, a very small island also, about 7 miles squared, but there was one message church there. When I went in there, we did start our work in there, in Bethel also. And while I was there in 2001, there was a particular guy who came in there. He's not really a Christian, but he did visit the services that I had been preaching in Bethel. And when he heard these services, he was impressed and he wanted to invite me to go down south across the Atlantic Ocean to go to this place that is called Petite Martinique. First of all, to get to Petite Martinique, we first had to travel to another island which is next door, which is Carriacou. So when he invited me to go down there, I was wondering if I could really do that, because then I was asking him, I said that how would we be able to go down to Petite Martinique? Because it's across the Atlantic, right? Well, honestly, I'm not a boatman. I don't know anything about how the sea normally does be. I'm not accustomed traveling in water, but I am accustomed traveling in air. I used to be around the islands and preaching the gospel, etc. Anyway, this person, his name is Donnelly. As I said, he's not a Christian. But what happened is that he personally seems to feel that, that he need to take me there to Petite Martinique. So I said, well, okay, I think I have the time and we could try. But I said, how we will be going? It became very interesting that he said that he will take me with his own boat.
So, Petite Martinique does not have an airport.
No,
No
it doesn't have
flights
it. No.
Only boats.
Only boats. To get in there, you must use boats and things, right? Not even I don't think a big ship could go into there. But a medium-sized one, they have a small harbor, and then something called the Osprey would travel from Grenada and come in there. But a smaller version, I think. But back then, I think now a bigger Osprey would go in there. But anyway, so I accepted to going into Petite Martinique, not knowing the trail that I will be taking. Trail meaning the ocean and how it would be like. I'm not a boatman, not fisherman, not all that, I am a virgin in mind as far as the waters are concerned.
Yes.
But anyway, honestly, I felt led of the Lord to go. Myself and about 2 or 3 other brothers, we went into that boat. When I went into the boat, it's really 24 feet long. So I have 24 feet boat in the harbor does look big. It don't ever look big when you see it in that water.
On the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. And that water was very, very choppy. Choppy is not even a word. It was dangerous. It was very, very treacherous. Because when we reach half the distance and we begin to see them waves like buildings coming to meet this small little bottle stopper.
My.
And well, I mean, yes, I said, boy, maybe we might go down.
Yeah.
Maybe we might go down with these waves. So, but then what I did, being that I don't know nothing about boat and thing, I keep watching Donnelly, who is the boatman, to see if he's nervous or if he's comfortable.
I get it.
And if I see he's comfortable, well, then automatically I will become comfortable. And I saw that he was okay, like that is normal.
Yes.
That's normal for him. So I say, well, okay then, I'll take it from that angle then. But yes, we did go down. I suppose we left about 8 that morning or 9 that morning. And we reached sometime 5 in the evening. But we were not able that particular day to go across to Petite Martinique. That's 2001. We were not able to go across. For some reason, Donnelly had to go back up.
I see.
We went back, but I always, when I stayed in Carriacou that night, I watched that island of Petite Martinique, a little distance. I don't know, in distance it looked to me like about 7 miles or something. So
Yes.
across the water. And in my heart, I had a longing to really go there. I don't know why. So I always felt led to do it. Then in 2002, I decided to go back. When I went back there now, I tried finding a ship there, not a small boat like what we use.
And this is a year later now.
1 year later.
I see.
Yeah, so there was a boat there when we inquired called the mail boat. That mail boat would normally take cargo to all the different Grenadine islands, right up to Union Island. And we took that boat. It was real comfortable. Take long, about 6 hours, but we did reach there 5 to 6 hours. And then we did go across to Carriacou with a smaller boat. It was comfortable to go across there. And then we finally reached to where my heart desire was, Petite Martinique. We took when we reached to the harbor, we walked across, we were scanning, we were looking across to see what we could do, because remember,
you don't know anyone there.
Anyone, no.
I
the
get
only
it.
person we knew there was Donnelly.
Was he part of the second trip?
He also was a part of the second trip. But the Lord only used him right up until then.
I get it.
Because he took us inland to Petite, Martinique. And he just disappeared. I never saw him again after that. Yes, I did, but many years after.
I see.
Yeah. So when we reached there, we decided to scan the area. Well, I heard you said just now it's like population 900. In 2002, the population was like only 500 people.
And I would imagine then it was 500 people with one car.
Yeah, that's right.
Because now it's 25 cars.
Well, for the recent past, I had not been there, so that is new. You giving me news coming from South Africa. So when we did going into the island there, we first, as we walk out the harbour and we come to close to where the school is, right on the junction there, there was a nice place we thought under a street light that we could start having service that night. And we did have service that night. What the brothers did, maybe about 5 or 6 brothers went that time. I think my sons were in that. And different brethren from Beckway, where we started the church, they came also. And we started to have service that particular night. They went around and introduced ourselves to the people. We found a place where we could rent. We climb up a hill. Well, that place we normally have mountain range. We took about, that first day it was very, very hectic to climb that mountain. We went up there maybe in about half an hour. We found a place where we could rent way up top the mountain. But way on top that mountain there is a guy whose name is Matthew. He's a Roman Catholic. And right the next door neighbor. Now remember, we don't know who is Brother Bethel.
You have not met him
I've
by
never
that
met
time.
him. If we would meet them at all, it's like when we reach there, we would see that is our neighbors. So I told them, I said, well, why you all don't go across there and make yourself known to the neighbors? Now we didn't realize that the neighbors were afraid of us.
Oh, okay.
Right? We discovered that the neighbors were afraid of us. But and why do you think they're afraid of us? Because how we clean shaven, their idea about us, short hair, clean shaven, we are Babylon.
Okay, Babylon means police.
Police.
I get it.
Yeah.
So mainly most of them on the island are Rastafarians? Or not?
About far half the population, I think that is that. So
No, it's only one family. My family.
Or your family alone at that time.
Okay, I see. But it was unusual to see a clean-shaven man with a short hair. They just thought it's Babylon, meaning police.
Meaning police.
Okay, I get it.
So they thought we are Babylons, but now they normally would be smoking ganja or weed or collie, as they call it, right?
Okay.
So they wasn't smoking anything. Anyway. Then they discovered that well, these people are not really Babylons. They are not police. All right? So when they realize we are not police, right, then they become relaxed. In fact, some of the brethren now, the people who don't know the islands, they don't know that most of the people in those islands, the islands of the Grenadines, Union Island, Petite, Martinique, and Carrico, lots of people are related to one another.
I see.
So when they went across to Brother B's home, some of them brothers come back and they told me, they said, boy, we related to him. We related to the family.
Oh, I see.
So they were excited and they're happy now that, you know. So they sent out invitation and they told them that we came to have services in the island.
Okay.
So we told them we would be having service that night. Well, Brother B was not in that first service. And then his daughters did come. I remember preaching under the light. And I saw some girls about 30 feet away sitting on a step. About 5 or 6 of them. The faces look alike, so I thought they might be family related. And But when we preach and everything like that, well, is evangelism. You know, so we preach the word, we talk certain things about the gospel. Then the island became stirred up, especially because right up the hill there, maybe about 200-300 feet, which is mountain range, is the Catholic Church. But those girls, for the first time now, hearing something that's totally different from what they're accustomed hearing. So when we preached, they was attracted to what we were preaching. Young girls, you know. In my opinion, there was like 18, 19, 20, 21, around that area, you know. And to my amazement, on that particular night when I call our altar call, this is the open street, right?
Yes, yes.
Remember, it only have one car, so you have no disturbance.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know? And then we under the street light, and we preach, and I make an altar call. Do you know that all these girls on that step, which 3 of those girls was Brother B's daughters, they came under that street light. I asked them if they want to accept the Lord. They said yes, they want to accept the Lord. You know that they actually kneeled down on the street.
My.
And accepted the Lord Jesus to be the Lord and Savior. It is there where everything began to unfold.
My. And then tell me, I know you mentioned a testimony of a lad that came to church with the mother, and because they had, it's quite amazing that they're on the island, but they had issues with water.
Yeah. What happened?
Just take me through that testimony.
Okay. That island, today, 22 years later, Brother B was just informing me that the island now have pipe-borne water.
Yes.
Back then, they depend on rainfall. They have what you call spoutings. Take the water, put it into reservoirs. Under the houses, they build tanks under the houses, and they would put water there. But being that that island, as you rightfully said, 205 square kilometers, being that that island is so small, when a rain cloud is passing and the open Atlantic breeze, it normally pushes that rain cloud away from that small island.
My.
So they suffer from shortage of water constantly.
Oh, because it's tiny. I mean, it's 2.4 square kilometer.
Yeah.
So if there is a cloud, the Atlantic, because of the breeze, will just push it.
It just shift it away, and they normally suffer from water.
It's difficult to have
very,
rain.
Very difficult.
And maybe just to give a background to those that maybe don't understand how it works, you can't drink water from the ocean.
No.
Because it has too much salty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you had to depend on rain. You depend on rain for water.
Yeah.
Now what happened with this lad and the mom?
Well, that would be later on in the tour. I heard you mention that they came to church. We never had no church then.
Oh yes, yes. I'm simply saying to an open, this open air church.
Yeah, we
makeshift church.
It would be 3 years later that we actually had a church then, and that is after Brother B was born.
I see.
Right? But what happened now is that the girls came out. They will often come before I actually reach the testimony concerning that little boy.
Yeah.
I must tell you some things up front.
Okay, maybe let's park it here for a while. What I want to know now, the girls are there. These are the daughters of Brother B, and Brother B is by that time he's not a church man. He's a Rastafarian.
Rastafari, yeah.
A devoted Rastafari, who was very skeptical about Christianity. Now, maybe...
Well, I don't think he was quite skeptical about Christianity.
But I think the churches, maybe.
Yeah, the churches, the people in the area.
Yes.
The guy who we were renting from, eventually he will put us out.
Okay.
Because when he realized that we're making converts in the country, he get rid of us because, he realized we are anti-Catholics.
No problem. Maybe just to bring Brother B into the picture, maybe give us a background. You are a boatman. You spend most of your time on the sea. Then you were a Rastafarian. Now your daughters are coming back to tell you about these new people that they had met that are preaching the gospel and they've decided to give their lives to the Lord Jesus Christ. How did you react to that as a Rastafarian, Brother B?
Well, when they came, I was out fishing, spend the night out.
Yes.
So that's the night he's talking about, when they went on the street for the first night. So I came home in the morning, and I saw them over just next door to me.
Yes.
So my wife started looking, I was watching them. He said, "You don't worry, not police."
Yeah.
I got relatives there.
Okay.
I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "They're Christians." I said, "Okay. I'm really interested in Christianity, so I'll give them a visit, you know."
And I assume as a Rastafarian, you must have had ganja in the house.
Yeah.
And so you were saying, Babylon, they are the police, and you became very
Exactly, you know.
jittery. Okay.
Yeah, so I became very skeptical. I said, well, if they are Christians, I want to know what kind of Christians they are.
Yes.
You know, because I visited many
Yes.
churches with denominational, and I didn't find true Christians.
Yes.
You know. So I went there and we started a conversation. And I recognized that there was a difference. You know. So they told me that they needed some equipment because they were doing some evangelism, and what they was doing, you know, what they had wasn't efficient. So I told them, well, I have it. I have equipment, and that's exactly what I'll have it for, is for the work of the Lord. Because my mission was, I was on a quest for truth. You know, I really believed, and I still believe. Oh, I have something special to do for the Lord. And I thought it was through the music, so that I get engaged and occupied with music. But when I met them, and they started to open the scriptures unto me, I recognized that I really got where I wanted to start.
And then by the time, before you met them, what I want to know, you were always looking for something spiritual.
Yeah, always.
Gave you meaning spiritual.
Yeah.
And you couldn't find it within the Rastafarian movement.
No. I couldn't find it because everyone had different ideas and they were not truthful.
I get it.
Because they was partial into the scriptures, they choose what they wanted and put away what they wanted. You know, so it was confusing. I know that the truth is the word of God.
Yes.
So I couldn't find it. I know definitely they were conscious. He had something about them, about Rastafari. You know, some truths about them. It's a reality. You know, there was living. You know, and I could get along with them.
And when you visited to these other churches, what put you off? What made you not to connect with them? What made you to be skeptical about the churches that you visited before meeting this new group, this new individual that you initially thought were the police?
Well, those churches was more building on assemblies.
Yes.
Just gathering people, but then was really seeking Christ.
I get it.
You know, Christ was not in them. And I wanted to know the truth. I wanted to know. You know, I want to meet him personally, have a relationship with God personally. And I couldn't find it there. You know, I wanted something real. I wanted to live a real truthful life. So when I met them, I know I made a difference. Because I visited a lot of these denominations seeking to get baptized. I wanted to get baptized, you know, because I got married. And, you know, Rasta don't really get married, so there was a great difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I got married, there was a great difference. A lot of people came out to see a Rasta man getting married. You know.
Now, after you met them and you spoke through the scriptures, you finally decided that this is it. I must be baptized.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got baptized.
Yeah, I got baptized. They went and they came back a year later. It was 2003.
Oh, 2003. So the first visit is 2001. You came back 2002. They came back. Now they came back 2003. It was almost a year later.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I told him I feel I'm going to get baptized. I need to get baptized.
Yes.
No. So we arranged the baptism.
The daughters were already baptized by then?
No.
Okay. Oh, now it's you and the family?
Yeah, and the family.
I get it.
So every one of us was Rasta.
Okay.
The whole family.
The whole family?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we arranged the date and everything. The very day I was going to get baptized, I was smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana. The one I could remember, even the pastor, bakery.
Yeah.
I looked at him and how he looked at me, you know.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't pleased
The Rastafarian call
to see me still smoking, you know, and wanted to.
The Rastafarian call it the holy herb.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the minute I entered into that water,
Yes.
when I stepped out, I wasn't the person that went in there. You know? All this taste and appetite for cannabis and smoking, everything was gone. Up to today, there was never a taste for it no more. No desires for it no more.
Now it's gone.
Everything just vanished. And it was something, I can't really explain it, something thick.
But you know, something amazing is that his wife, she had a dream before we came into the island.
Yes.
And that dream that she had is that she will have a boy child. And I suppose Brother B would remember this. She will have a boy child. Remember, he just said that the entire family
Were Rastafarians.
were Rastafari. They have their locks, etc.
Yes.
Right, Brother B also had big locks like a tie hanging down from his neck here, and along, and then his rasta going right down to the
And
back.
I think people will see the pictures rolling during this interview.
We have photos of that.
Yes.
And but the amazing thing about this is that the Lord forerunner were coming there, because his wife had a dream, and the dream that his wife had is that she will have a son. And when the child is born, an eagle will come and take him up with his claws and go away with him. And she didn't know what that meant until we reached there. Because when we reached in the island, and we started to preach the gospel, etc., then here is this child will be born. The child name is Rakim. No, what was his son name?
Is Kimai.
Kimai. The last child she will have, called Kimai. Kimai. When Kimai is born, he will already become a message believer, following the teachings of Brother.
Yeah.
And then now that would mean that that son would not become part of Rastafari.
Rastafari, no.
Now he was born into the message
He
hall.
born into the message and he never grew a locks.
Yeah, that
And
was.
the eagle message take him and went with him.
My.
But,
So then the interpretation was given there.
but before that, being musician, I, my wife, and the first son, Mikey, we had a contract
Yes.
with one of these tourist resorts
Yes.
over Mario, one of the Grenadian islands. And we came next morning, and one of my son, very small, he was maybe around 9 years, said, an angel was here last night. So an angel appeared, you know. They were sleeping in their room. You see, the place was dark. And all of a sudden, the place just get lighted up. An angel appeared and he was saying, you know, he said, I see that your family does be quarreling among themselves, but tell them, come together and pray. And don't worry with the devil in this time. So the angel just disappeared again and the place get dark. So when he said that, I considered it, but never took it to heart. But after they came, I started to put things together. And they talk about William Branham and how the angel appeared to him and he started to relate to me and started to show me about Malachi 4. But I have the idea that the Elisha will come. You know? And how they really came, I was so desperate for God that when I looked into the mirror and I saw myself, I could see like demons in me.
When you still have bearded
Yeah.
And remember, at that time, I'm told you had a place that you used to go to up the mountain and pray daily.
Yeah. Well,
so you were. I'm trying to demonstrate to the people that you were not a half-hearted Rastafari. You were wholeheartedly devoted to Rastafari.
Exactly.
That you prayed in. So there was sincerity in what you were doing as a Rastafari. But when you look into the mirror, you saw demons.
Yeah, I could actually see. And I said, I went up to that mountain and I cried out to God. I said, I can't take it anymore. You must do something with me because, it's unbearable. I need a change because I couldn't really cope with it again. And that's when they came. It wasn't 2 weeks, about approximately 2 weeks they came. So I knew God had answered my.
And this is in line. This is in line with the message because the prophet tells us that before Eliezer got to the well, it was the angel that brought Rebecca to the well. He said the angel got there 30 minutes before. Now, before they could come to Petite, Martinique, already the angel was already there preparing your family that something angelic is coming. The message of the angel is coming to the family.
Yeah.
My. And then you got baptized. And maybe right now, how many believers may be there, roughly?
Right now, it's like about 25.
25, yeah.
25. I mean, this is a good ratio. You look at the population, then it was 500 people. Now it's 900 people. Now we've got 25 believers there. But I want people to get a sense of the sacrifice that Brother B makes. And I want us to take us through the routine because I was quite touched that there are times where you would take your boat and you'd go to the other island, have church there, and in the evening you load your family back onto the boat and you'll travel during the night on the sea going home. Just take me through that.
We started the church over at Petite Martinique. But then, owing to the Catholic system, they recognized something was happening that they didn't appreciate it. So they took away the building that we use for our assembly. They
On the island, I hear it.
They took it away from us. So we had to reconnect to Carrico.
Okay, and move to the church to the next island.
So every service day, sometimes we will have to make 2 trips with the boat because the boat couldn't carry everybody.
And how many kilometers is from Petite Martinique to Carrico?
It's just about a mile and a half.
Or a mile and a half?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Okay.
To get over there.
Okay.
So, but a mile and a half
on the sea, it's something.
Funny waters.
Yes.
Especially if the eastern breeze is coming down.
Yeah.
So I remember one day sitting on that boat, and Brother B told me, he said, "You sit here, Brother George," and as next year is cheering. Brother B normally will have to climb. I don't know how you just call that part of the boat where you just stand up and you just be peeping out like that and using your left hand.
Yeah.
I don't know how you call that part. The stern or something.
On the deck.
The deck.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing boatman, you know. In the night, when we going back to Petite Martinique from Carrico, I mean, that's darkness that can be felt outside there.
You tell me that it gets so dark that you put a finger in front of your eyes and you see nothing.
You can't see nothing.
But yet you're on the boat in the middle of the sea.
It have in between, if he said it's a mile and a half, somewhere in between there's a wreck ship. You can run into that. Just next to the wreck ship is a sandbank of coral sand. Your ship can run into that. But a B will normally use lights of other islands
as direction
and navigate around everything and take your
So the boat does not have the lights.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, we have navigational lights. Yeah.
Okay. But it's not for visibility. It's just for others to see.
Yeah.
My goodness. And now you would have your family on the boat coming back from the service at night, going home.
Yeah.
And this is happening weekly.
Weekly, yeah.
He's an amazing boatman, very, very amazing.
But tell me something, because you are a very experienced boatman. You told me that if you're on the sea and maybe it's at night, how do you interpret the moon as a boatman?
Yeah, well, the moon really makes us to understand the tide, the low tide and the high tide.
Okay.
So when the moon is rising, we know that the tide will be lowering.
Okay.
When it reaches midway, it starts to get high again. So when it goes down on the horizon to the west, that tide starts to lower again. So we know exactly what tide, by the moon rise or the moon down, we call it.
So there is a direct, as the prophet says, there is a direct relationship between the sea and the moon.
And the moon, yeah.
And you as boatmen, you know how to interpret the position of the moon. Then you know how the tidal waves will behave.
Yeah, well, the waves depends mostly on the weather condition. Sometimes it gets really rough, and sometimes it's not a tide, but it becomes something like a current. A current is different to the high and low tide. Sometimes you have real strong current, and if the current is going to the north, the wind coming easterly, it will really get high and rough. Yeah. So then,
I remember that particular day when Brother B put me to sit next to the steering because you don't want the preacher to go through the rough things, you know.
Yeah.
Suddenly, just like that, I don't know where this whatever came from. And instead of sitting up here, I am 4 feet on the ground, flat on my bottom.
yeah.
Because a wave come and hit the ship. And I wasn't really paying attention. I think I am riding a car. I was on the floor.
My,
That's how rough the water could be.
my. I'm anxious to know now, is it the right time to speak about the testimony of the boy and the mother?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
I'm
Yeah,
very-
because there are a lot of, besides those supernatural that Brother Bethel made mention of,
Yeah.
and the eagle taking the son, there are other supernatural things
That happened to
that
them.
happen in that island, including this one that you're asking me about.
Yes, let's go through this one. We'll come to the other one.
Okay, so it will be like inside of 2002. We were well accepted in that country, especially not by the Catholic system, but the unbelievers in the island. They appreciate our ministry. The police station, there's one police post in that, well, it's a station, right? And all the police officers, they did appreciate us. And they told us, they say, if they don't want you to have service, they come here and stay right in this corner here. We will provide electricity for you. And they gave us electricity. On that island, we had the favor of the police, we had the favor of the unbelievers. We would pray for the sick on the road. That is before we actually opened the church in Petite, Martinique. So it was street ministry constantly. It's not like going once to 2001, once 2002, once 2003. Like 2 and 3 times we will go in each year.
Okay, I see.
Right? And it was in occasions, like for example, as I was explaining, listen to this one. Remember the island, they literally suffer for the supply of water.
Of course.
They depend on the tanks. If rain will fall, it will go into the cisterns, and it will go into the gutter, and it will go into the cisterns, and they will take water from there. You use pump and bring it into the houses. But if they have no water, they can, they can't just do a lot of things. Anyway, this particular day, what I recognize is that the people in all of Petite, Martinique, I never noticed it, but they did. They used to call me the rain preacher.
Okay.
Right? Why they used to call me the rain preacher? Now remember, I came from Trinidad. Our rainfall is like 2 inches or something like that. They have no inches there at all.
Yes.
So my concept about rainfall here and your concept about rainfall there is two different concepts.
Yes.
Right? So there's no rainfall there. They have to depend. They would pray and they will seek God and think sometime for rain there. So it makes them a bit more spiritual than me back here in Trinidad. Anyway, so they used to call me the rain preacher. I didn't know that. Because every time
you were there,
I would go into the island, rain would fall. The Lord was doing that. That's supernatural something. Rain will fall. And I never noticed that. I say it's Trinidad. You know, the concept I have about Trinidad is the same concept. Only I get to realize on this particular night.
Yes.
What happened? We were at the police station. We run the extension cord. By this time, Brother B already gave us all his equipment. Take whatever you want, and good quality equipment.
This is the equipment that he used to use as a Rastafarian, and now he's using it for the Lord.
Yes. So he had Roland keyboards.
Yes.
Top of the line speakers. Guitars. What kind of guitar you had? Gibson and guitars and things. So he gave us everything. He said, take everything and use it. So on that particular day that I would remember that the testimony I want to hear is that we were right next to the police station. The police and them came out. They were listening to us. The neighborhood was there. There's a bar just across where we were. They closed down the bar while we were there. And here comes the rain while I was preaching. My boys, Jonathan and these different boys and them had been there because we're doing evangelism. Rain started to come down very heavy. The people were around and they're listening to the message preach. In my heart, preaching, this is what my thoughts were. I said, you know something, this is an opportunity to show them the God of William Branham, the God of this message.
Yes.
The God of Elijah. I was convinced in my heart. I said, I'm going to stop this rain so they will see the hand of God, because all equipments would be wetted.
Definitely.
The microphone in my hand, that is also wetted.
Because you felt the rain is interrupting the service.
The service.
Yes.
Yes. So I was going to stop the rain. I felt the command and everything. And I heard our audible voice say, leave the rain as is. Keep preaching. So when I realized that I would not be doing it, what I told the boys, I said, you all go under the where the bar, the shed back next to the bar, and they all went there, and I alone stay outside with the mic in my hand preaching, and the rain coming down, and I wet in the rain and I preach. The boys who went under where the bar was saw the pillar of fire came down and began to form a circle all where the people will be sheltering, coming where I was by the box and keep forming a circle like that while the rain was falling. They saw that light moving around constantly like that. So that country is literally vindicated by the presence of the Lord. Anyway, the rain was pouring. I keep preaching. Just like the rain was pouring, I preach it. And then after the rain stopped, etc., the police were impressed that I stood there and preached in the rain. The people were impressed. But what impressed me is simply this. When the service was finished, here come a little boy and his mom. The mom came to testify to me. She said, Pastor, I would just like to tell you something. I said, yeah, no problem, go ahead. She said, you know something? My son, and that little boy, I suspect he would have been like about 6 or 7 years old.
Yes.
She said, my son was telling me, Mommy, let us go and listen to the pastor preach. Let us go and listen to the pastor. Mommy is telling the little boy, well, son, you know, we only have half bucket of water. And we cannot use that. We have to use that tomorrow to cook and whatever. We cannot utilize that. We cannot do it. The child is telling the mother, Mommy, let us go, use the water and go. The pastor will pray for rain and rain will come. The mother thought about the fate of this little child and felt convicted.
My.
And she decided she will do exactly what the little boy. She said when that rain began to pour down, she knew that what her son was telling her about, it is God. And she was sure that the God of Elijah is alive.
Now, you see, this is where it gets more interesting, Brother George, because you are standing there, it is raining, you feel that it is interrupting the rain, you wanted to stop the rain, but God says you cannot stop the rain, because the rain was a confirmation to somebody in the audience.
That's right.
That this message is backed up by the God of Elijah. So I'm just emphasizing that sometimes it is very critical to listen to the Holy Spirit when the Holy Spirit speaks.
And then the Lord is not working on behalf of a mother and a child alone. You know?
Yeah.
But when you think about it, go back into history and you will see that there was a mother and a son that Elijah had to minister to.
My.
You know? But then in addition to that, there's where I got my title now officially.
Rainmaker.
You know? So the whole island now enjoy the benefit of the rain that will fall. So they used to look forward for me to come into the island.
And it's quite amazing, even in the Bible, the ministry of Elijah dealt with the rain. My. And then, so it has been how many years since you have been in the message? Are we counting? It's almost 25 years.
20 years I've been in the message.
20 years in the message now.
Yeah.
My.
I remember the first time I went and saw Brother B. A very respectable one.
Yes.
Even though he was a Rastafari, very, very respectable person. He always meant well. I never knew his motive and objective totally at the beginning. But then in 2003, I believe, is when Brother B got baptized.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember when Brother B made his decision, I knew, he told me this, he was honest enough to tell me, he said, Brother George, he said, I want to be baptized. But I smoke, what name you would use, Collie or something, so ganja.
Ganja, yes.
And you know, it have different names for the same thing, you know.
And they call it a holy herb, and nothing holy about it.
So anyway, he told me, he said, Brother George, he said, I want to be baptized, right? But I believe I am having this, still have this crave for this thing, but I believe that after I get baptized, thing will change. I think I baptized Brother B with all his Rastafari, his beards and everything else like that.
Yeah.
Then he only got shaved after that.
I'm telling you, when after baptizing him on that particular time, and you know what happened, what is amazing about it, that baptism?
Yeah.
He and some of his family got baptized the same time.
Yes.
And when we would go and do the baptism, I was surprised that there was a tourist ship that was passing, maybe going up the Grenadine Islands, right? And this big, massive tourist ship literally stopped. Rain was falling again that day.
Yes.
Right? That was at evening time, somewhere around 5 in the evening. And rain was falling again. And the tourist ship actually stopped. So I was thinking, I said, what about water baptism that would attract these Caucasian people? Because, I mean, they know about baptism, etc. But then I'm doing my baptism, they are about 500 meters away. And the ship was using a channel to go up the Grenadines. They actually stopped. And he was watching
to witness the baptism.
There is a person whose name is Anthony who is connected. He know about those ships and them. About 2 days later, Anthony is telling us, you all remember that there was a ship that stopped when you were doing baptism? I said, yeah. He said, you know why they stopped? I said, I was wondering because these Caucasian people know about water baptism. Why would they stop to watch something that they know about?
It's not foreign to them.
He says, yeah, he said it's not that, Brother George. He said they were seeing explosions of light right where you all was baptizing. And it's not lightning flashing.
It's a supernatural again.
Yeah, it's just light just flickering right where we was baptizing, and they stood there. They stood there just to look and see what was happening. And that is the very day that Brother B and all of them was getting baptized.
My. And then Brother B, now as a message believer over the years, and before I get to this one, there's something that I need to ask. You know, when you were still a Rastafarian, God interrupted you because you used to go out and be procured by these tourist resorts to come and do a performance. There's a time when you wanted to sing, but the voice couldn't come.
Yeah, there was a night we went and practiced.
Yes.
I was going to practice one of Petite's songs.
Yes.
And I took the mic and the members started music going. Another song couldn't come from me. Although I tried to sing, I was just dumb. And I heard a voice inside of me saying to me, if you don't leave this band, you will die. So the members started reacting because cussing. So I said, I try my best here, boy, I just can't sing. You know? I said, well, one of your orders, go ahead and practice. So after they finished practicing, I singing again. Normally I singing again. I said, let me try again. And for the second time, I was dumb. And I heard the voice saying, if you don't leave the band, you'll die. After practicing for some time, I went outside, started to sing and sing. I came back here and I said, let us go again. And for the third time,
Couldn't sing.
just couldn't sing, and the voice saying, if you don't leave this band, you will die.
And this is the band that you used to make a living from.
Yeah. So I left the band the same night. I told the manager, I said, something is going on with me. I may have to go and check myself. So I will take a little rest and I will return. So he told me, okay, you go ahead, Jarvis. Whenever the band is there. I went up, well, we was leaving up the mountain.
Jarvis was your stage name.
Yeah, it was the Rasta name,
Okay,
Jarvis.
okay. Okay.
Went up the night. And was 3 of us used to be up there in the camp. So I told the other two, and I said, I'll be leaving. I'm going back to Martinique. So you all could carry on still. I said, I have to go and check myself. So they said, if you are leaving, we are also leaving. So whatever we had, we shared among ourselves, packed, and the next day we took our departure, went to Martinique. And maybe a week or a few days, more than a week, I came back down. And when I went to Windward, that's where the jetty is. From Martinique, you come to Windward, you land on the jetty. And just after leaving the jetty, the road is right there. And as I step on the road, there's a young man. He used to tend cows on the hillside of the top of the mountain where we were. He said, Jarvis, as soon as you all leave there, the PRG soldiers from the People's Revolution Army came and just started shooting up the camp. So I know exactly what the Lord done me to remove me from there, because if we had remained there,
You would have died.
we would have died, because they got reports that we were there and the people didn't want us to be there. So
Brother George, you know, Brother Branham says God will direct this message into the hands of the predestinated ones. He says God is obligated to make sure that every predestinated seed hears about this message. But most of the time, established churches abandon evangelism. And I'm touched by how there is this small island. You are not just comfortable in Trinidad, but you felt like that if I have had this, somebody must hear what I've had. Do you sense that message churches are no longer as enthused about evangelical programs as they used to?
Well, like for example, if I answer for Trinidad and Tobago, I think that Trinidad and Tobago is saturated as far as evangelism is concerned. But I always believe that those outside countries like the Grenadine Islands, it is not saturated. They need the gospel preached to them. Based on that, because a good job had been done evangelically in this country. So I realized that the outside countries need to get them, especially those small islands along the Grenadine Islands. Now, to going into those islands is very, very, very sacrificial. Very, very, very sacrificial. You are encountering with dangerous waters. You are encountering with all different kind of people who don't like you. And I mean, that is normal in evangelical. In fact, let me be honest with you. One time where I used to be preaching under the street light, he has a brother, a very violent fellow. And he used to come to fight with me.
Is he a Rastafarian or not?
No, he's not a Rastafari.
He just hated.
He just hated gospel. He hated everything. You know, he's like demon possessed. Brother Bethel will tell you that. But he used to come. He actually walk up to me to fight, and I keep preaching. When them brothers will see him, they will come and make a barrier around me. You know, but I am on finding the last elected. You know, evangelism is totally required in these countries. And you see, we can rest on our laurels here. But if there's one thing I love to do is do evangelism. I still love it. My body is not like how it used to be back then. But I still love it. And I still go and try my best to do this and preach the gospel. Evangelism, the last elect must come in.
Because what amazes me, and I'm going to bring this, especially because you are passionate about taking this gospel to other countries and to the islands. You spoke to me about how many years back you went to Dominica and you took the message there, and 20 years later you meet somebody that her family
just recently
received the message.
Just recently,
Tell us more about it.
I was in Canada, you know, to Brother Dankwa, Brother Jared Samuel, and also Brother Louis Nelson. And Dominica is a place that just the same season I went to him, is the same season I went to Dominica, the Commonwealth. All right, not the Spanish speaking, which is the Republic, but the Commonwealth. And I went there and introduced the message in the context of sowing seed. Right? I didn't have the opportunity to stand up on the street and preach or preach in a church. But I felt the burden to go into Dominica and do something. The Lord made a way. I went into the home and I stayed in the home for 1 week. And people from a particular church started to come and listen to me. And in fact, they used to come lunchtime during their lunch break, and they used to listen to me. They would come sometime in the evening, and I actually introduced the message there. The family that I stayed with migrated, so no longer I was able to go back in.
Yes.
I didn't have a contact. Later on, Brother Vin went in and he started, about 10 years later, and he started a ministry there. Right? And I suppose that people who were connected with what I did there went across and they were being, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Like St. Paul told the Corinthians, one soul, one water, God give the increase.
Absolutely.
I enjoy that. Right? Because I couldn't get in. But anyway, I always pray for them. And this is not coincidentally, but the Lord have ways of working. And when I went there, here is Brother John Nankwa. I was staying at his son's home, John Nankwa Jr. And I was inquisitive. I asked him, I said, so Brother John, you came from Ghana, right? He said, yeah. So I said, your wife also is from Ghana? He said, no, Brother John, she's not from Ghana. I said, where is she from? He said, she's from Dominica. So I asked him, I said, which one, the Spanish-speaking one or the English-speaking one? Or the French-speaking one? He said, no, the English-speaking one, they know patois. So I said, okay. I said, you know, I was in there, and I began to give him the same history. He said, my wife is from there. I told him, I said, I stayed in a home in Roseau, right? And and in in a family's home that name is George. He said, Brother George, my wife her foster name is George. So the Lord came to me 20-something years later to show me that a seed, when it is sown, does dramatize. And I felt so blessed and comfortable in my heart to know that this sister is as a result of what the Lord used me to do way back then. And she started to call around and search for the family members and and chat with them. Because you see, the Lord know His people. Absolutely. You think I could design that? No. I cannot design that. You cannot design that. It have to be the Lord.
So the word of the Lord too will, when He has sent it, it will not return to Him void.
That's right.
It will accomplish what it was sent for.
Yeah.
And you saw the fulfillment in recent days when you're in Canada.
Yeah.
Brother B, what is your message to message believers? And maybe just to give you a perspective, when I say what is your message to message believers, I mean the sacrifice that you make, being on the sea, going to church, coming at late, and sailing the boats in the middle of the night, going home. Some stay close to a church, but they don't show up at church. But here is a man is able to go through the rough sea to get to church and come back home. What is your message to the message believers?
Well, I would love them to be very faithful. No matter what persecution or affliction I might be going through, that there is a reward. Because God is real. It's not about building kingdoms for yourself, but God already built us a kingdom, and there's an open door. Despite the needs in this world, He have given us a promise that He will supply all our needs. So we need. I feel that we need to trust in Him more. Rely upon Him for everything. For He have created us, He died for us. And our necessity here, naturally, just think of it. Would He not give it to us?
He will.
If He gave His life for us, how much more would He not give? Because He left all He had to come look for us. Because we were lost in sin. So I just want to encourage them. Continue pressing, continue to seek, continue to live one for another. Be a brother's keeper. Let us continue to strengthen each other and be faithful unto it.
God bless you, Brother B. Brother George, your message, especially to pastors as far as evangelism is concerned.
I think that there are a lot of places, not only in the Caribbean, but different parts of the world. When I go to India, for example, there's a lot of evangelical work to be done in there. Quickly, if I can remember just the last time I was there, because that was 2020. Never traveled to there afterwards. I remember preaching to the audience, and the people just come out. Like, for example, you asked Brother B about the sacrifice that as it compared to this Western world, the kind of sacrifice he makes, which is a lot. When you go to places like India, you tell people about come to church Monday morning. Before the preacher actually reached there, they're in the hundreds. Tuesday, Wednesday, it doesn't make a difference. This particular day, there was a sister right in front of me there, about 20 feet from where I was sitting. People normally sit on the floor by the hundreds. And I saw this sister, she's a Hindu. She needs salvation, you know, and you could see that she's demon possessed, and she began to carry on, and she fainted. And when she fainted, I told the interpreter, I said something is wrong with that lady there. When she got her back, she was carrying on. And I told the people, I said, this is what you call demon possession. You all see to be religion, but this is what you call demon possession. I said, she needs salvation, she needs deliverance. And I said, watch this and you will see something. And I command the evil spirit to leave her. Immediately she come back to herself. You know, so it's just not evangelism. You know, we might live in a country and behind four walls, but the thing about it, there are a lot of work to be done outside there. The islands, for example, you know, there are people in those Caribbean countries that need work to be done on them. There are people in Asian countries need work. I don't know, you would know about Africa. I have only been to Africa once. But, you know, how could they hear except a preacher tell them? You know? And we need to go and find the last elected. I mean, I believe Brother Branham down to the ugliest part of me. You know? And I will say this, that Brother Branham said, quoting from Irena, saying that Irena said that when the last elect comes, the rapture will take place. And he lived in an age that wouldn't take the rapture. We are living in the age that would take the rapture. I insist that we should leave here. We need to find the last elected.
Gentlemen, it has been an awesome interview about speaking about Petite, Martinique. Very much intrigued about what is happening there. But to me, it just confirms that God will find the predestinated seed no matter where they are. So it has been a lovely interview, and we hope people that will be watching will find it to be edifying. God bless you all. Shalom.
God bless.
God bless you.